Hey, what's up guys? Jerome here from the Bonsai Supply, and in today's video we are going to do some summer work on the Sea Hibiscus tiliacus. So this is my Sea Hibiscus, and right now we are going to be doing some summer maintenance on the tree, which includes defoliating the entire tree, pruning it back into shape, wiring necessary branches, and then also repotting this tree into a different container. So the first thing that we're going to do here is to defoliate the tree, which means we're going to remove all of the leaves. And that's kind of the first thing that we're going to do on a tropical tree such as this one. So Sea Hibiscus tiliacus are tropical trees. They have really beautiful heart-shaped leaves. They do flower, and actually what's interesting about the flower is that the flower comes out yellow in the morning, turns to a pinkish in the afternoon, and then turns like a dark red later in the late afternoon to early evening. And so the flowers only last for one day, and then they fall off, and that's it. So when this tree flowers, it is quite spectacular, and you really have to enjoy it. So as you can see, some of the leaves here are fairly large. They're like as large as my palm, and that is for a reason. That's because I knew I was going to repot this tree, so I didn't really trim this tree much this year. I kind of just let it grow out. It is root bound as well, which is an indicator that I need to repot this tree immediately. And the reason why I know that it's root bound is because it's starting to push itself out of the pot, and you can see it right over here. Also, when I water the tree, the water kind of, instead of trickling down into the soil, it kind of pools on top of the soil and then very, very slowly trickles down into the soil. And so I had to put this tree into a dish of water. You can see the water line right around here, just to keep it wet from the bottom, but I still water it every day from the top. So you can fairly easily reduce the leaves, but this is not something that you do from one day to the next or overnight. This happens with time. So the leaves generally, when you start a pre-bonsai, they're fairly large, but through continuous pruning back, the leaves will shrink down. They're just a little larger because I allowed them to grow out that far. Leaves, you can look at leaves the same way as you would look at solar panels. These solar panels, they power the tree. So if you only have one or two branches, the solar panels have to be much larger to power the tree and the root system. But obviously the more branches you get, the smaller the solar panel, so to speak, can come back. And so shrinking the leaves is really a overtime process, and not something you want to rush. You want to first have all your branches in place, like you will see on this tree. Once I finish defoliating it, you'll see I have a lot of branches in here, and that's when you can start to think about reducing the leaf size. So I'm going to go ahead now and remove the rest of the leaves, and then we start working on the branch reduction. So now that the tree has been defoliated, I'm going to go ahead and take the tree out of this pot. This pot was kind of an in-between pot. It is a little larger than the previous pot was, and I did like the glaze essentially. Since the color of the Sea Hibiscus flower is yellow and pink and then a dark red, I thought this pot could really could go really well with those colors of the flowers, and it would be a really nice pairing. I still like the pairing today. However, I had to tie the tree down because it has become very top heavy on this one side, and as you can see, the pot is very narrow at the bottom. So therefore I'm going to repot it into a different pot. And so since the pot I'm going to repot it into is completely different, I'm not going to trim any of this growth back. I'm going to repot it first, position the tree, angle it, and then once it's at the right position, that's when I'm going to go ahead and actually position the branches. So now that I have reduced the root ball quite a bit to a more manageable size, and I hope that you saw how vigorous this root ball and how healthy it was. And that's really the reason why you need to use good bonsai soil. I mean, you saw that it was just these really vigorous roots just wrapping and wrapping around. And this tree was last repotted about a year ago. So now once I'm at this point in terms of trimming the roots back, I take the new container, and this is the container the tree was in at one point before I changed it, and then I was changed again to the old one that you saw, the pink one. Now I'm going to go back to the old design, which I actually quite like a lot. Now this is a crescent pot, and so what I'm doing here right now is I'm just trial fitting. I'm just setting the tree inside the pot, and I'm just going to take a look to see if I have to reduce the root ball more or if I have even taken it too far. So this is a really good height of root ball. So the only thing that I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to clean up this root ball from the top. So the bottom is good, but the top in here has to be cleaned up a little more. And for that job, I just use a chopstick and just get rid of all of this muck in here and just try to clean up the roots a little more. Alright, so now that the tree is repotted back into its original container, I'm going to go ahead now and actually work the elongated branches and just really work on the ramification. And so what we do at this step is go through the entire tree, and I like to always start at the bottom, and I like to pretty much remove every straight section of the tree. So if you have a long branch, I like to cut back to where the movement stops. So I'm going to show you. Alright, so we're going to start here at the bottom, and as you can see, this long branch here is fairly straight. So I'm just going to go ahead now and just cut this branch back to around here. And I could go through the entire tree and wire all the branches, but at this stage in a bonsai tree's training, once all the main branches are in place, you generally want to go about now with a clip and grow. And so I continue here. So you see this branch here has the movement up until about here. So I'm going to cut it back to here. Actually, I'll show you. Cut this branch to here. And cut this branch to here. And so this is what I want to look for throughout the entire tree. Cut everything back, and then just continue the training from here on out, and the ramification will look a lot more natural down the line. Alright, so now the next couple branches further up, you see we have these two elongated branches, and once again we go in here and just cut back to where the movement stops, so right around in here. So now you see everything on this branch here has now movement, and so we're going to do the same over here. There you go. And so now I'm just going to go through the rest of the tree and apply this method through the rest of the tree and just cut back to where the movement stops. So as you can see, the tree's beauty has now been restored again, and it is in a much better suited pot for this composition. It is now a cascade. Before it was a semi-cascade. I changed the angle more and I dropped it down a little more, which I think looks a lot more dramatic. And now that I really cut back the entire canopy, it looks really dramatic. I really like it. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Please let me know what you think of my Sea Hibiscus. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and I'll catch you guys next time.